What is going on, EoP sports fans? It's Wednesday night. It's 9 o'clock. Welcome to EoP. I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joe Sheeran.
And, Joe, we got a lot to cover. The Phillies are staying hot. Some ups and downs in certain areas. We're going to touch on that. You actually were in Baltimore this weekend.
Sure was.
Did Joe mush it again? Joe mushed it. Not just kidding.
Maybe.
It's hard. It's hard not to point it out. But no, a lot to cover tonight. But, home cooking seems to be doing great for your fighting Phils. Some Sixers rumors floating around as well. And then that's going to be pretty much the main topics for tonight. But, of course, guys, please feel free to chime in and ask us any questions, and we will try to answer them for you as best as we can. But also remind you guys that this is brought to you by CherryInjuryLaw.com, Sherry'sTickets.com, DolansBar.com, as well as PhillySportsTrips.com. Joe, well, I feel like it's forever sometimes since we get to do our shows because me and you are behind the scenes doing so many different things.
Yeah.
We don't get to sit down and talk as much. But the Phillies, let's just kind of recap this real quick that nobody knows. That's not like nobody knows about. But, they swept the Brewers here. They went on a road trip to London, split that, came back. It was in Boston, lost the series, went to Baltimore, lost the series. And then came back home and sparked that energy again. But one of the biggest takeaways right now, especially over, I would say, the last week, is, Kyle Schwarber, we're seeing his June Schwarberness, but we're also seeing Nick Castellanos. Clutch hitting. He was 4 for 5 yesterday. I think he's got like a 7 or 8 game hit streak right now, 10 game hit streak going on right now. He's doing like what we expect from Nick Castellanos. Is just good timing. Do you trust that Nick Castellanos can continue to do this? What are your thoughts?
Do I trust that he can continue to do this? No, absolutely not. This is something we've seen from Nick Castellanos since he's been in pinstripes. I mean, even Rob Thompson said last night that he's a very streaky hitter. I mean, I guess you can kind of count on him in the field most times. I think he had his first error, I think it was last night or today, but it was the first one in quite some time. But I mean, just at the plate, it just seems even when he gets comfortable, then he just maybe just overthinks it, and then he starts to get aggressive with the first pitch again, always swinging at it. And I mean, damn, when he is on fire, there's nothing better than Nick Castellanos. I mean, 4-hit game last night. The Phillies have 5 total walk-offs this season. 3 of them are off of the bat of Nick Castellanos. I mean, right now, you kind of just got to take the good with the bad and just hope that at the times where he's at his hottest are when the games mean the most. And, right now, I mean, they came off of not a great road trip. I mean, if you want to count London as a road trip, even though one of those games was at home, the whole schedule just sucked. I know everybody complained about it, especially in the media, saying how the MLB schedule wasn't really fair for the Phillies. London, Boston, Baltimore. I mean, that's just a lot. It's absolutely a lot. And the way that this team has been on fire, it was, at least in my opinion, it was okay to kind of see them, just with that brutal stretch of being on the road. Like they went 3 for 5. If they could have gotten that Sunday game in Baltimore, they could have ended at 500. I would have been more than happy with that under those under those circumstances. But they came back 3 and 5. So be it. I mean, if you really look at it, they really only added 2 losses in the loss column, and they're still up 8 or 9 over the Braves, who continue to lose as well. So I'm not really too worried about it. Nick Castellanos, right now, we're still catching lightning in the bottle with him. So you just got to, I hate to say wait for the other shoe to drop and him kind of return back to that streaky player. But, I mean, it kind of is what it is at this point. You know what you're getting out of him.
Yeah, and let's put it this way, like, if he is a streaky player, and Adam, what's going on, Adam? He's asking, is Casty more streaky hitter than Hoskins was? I guess you would have to
Great question.
You would probably have to go to the numbers exactly to figure out, like, to the bottom line who had the bigger streakiness, but it feels that way. The difference between him and Hoskins and Castellanos is paycheck. Castellanos was brought in here for one thing, to hit. His defense has been good, which is what it's been a huge plus, but it's not why he was brought in. And I said it, I tweeted out last night. I said, if Castellanos starts hitting, Kyle Schwarber continues to hit, Harper 2 home runs today, even though they lost the possible sweep today. 2 home runs from Harper as well today. So you definitely see the power coming back. Really, what's hurt this team in my eyes over this stretch, even with the traveling that they did. Don't forget, right before that, they did have a home stand with the Brewers, but right before that, they were away in Denver, and they were also in San Fran. So a lot of movement for them. But my point is, do you like with a guy like him? It's his numbers have hurt us because it's not the right time, and it's all the teams been like that. They've been if you look at like the hits per game for the team, not terrible. I mean, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hit. They had going into the ninth inning yesterday before, and let's be honest, that game was not pretty for the Phillies until the ninth inning.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those games that you forget about how much of a snooze fest the other 8 innings were. Aaron Nola did a great job, except for the one frame where he kind of got a little picked on, and that let up 2 runs with that 2-run bomb. But like, it's they had like 11 hits going into the ninth inning, but they only had 1 run to show for it, or actually 2, I guess, because if you count Schwarber's home run there. But that's all they had to show for it. That's where it's the runners in scoring position is kind of becoming a little bit of a problem, but it's not a problem in my eyes that can't be rectified. And it's timely hitting, because they weren't getting hits, and a lot of them were not extra base hits, and that's a lot on Castellanos, because even when Castellanos was kind of hitting, had a couple spurts here and there, it wasn't extra base hitting. And that's what we need from him. And I think if this team could start stringing bases together, or complementary baseball, or whatever term you want to use, that's where this team is going to, look like what we saw back in April and May.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, game 1 of the San Diego series, they score 9 runs, win 9-2. And they had the most hits in a game they've had all season. And then, to your point, last night they had 11, 12 hits, whatever it was, but they stranded all of them. So, I mean, it's not – I guess I can't say it's the offense. I don't want to say it's the offense, because they're getting hits. It's just the timely hitting, the runners in scoring position. They just got to take advantage when the opportunity presents themselves. Like, I mean, they're hitting the long ball. And by the way, you want to talk about me being a mush? My God, last night I bet for Harper to hit a home run, and I was about to pick Schwarber, but no, he hit 2 home runs the night before. So I said, let me go with Bryce Harper to grab one. No, what happens? Schwarber does get one, and then I don't bet it today, and Harper hits 2. So I'm always a day behind, almost like these Phillies are when it comes to their timely hitting. I mean, again, but today 5-2, Bryce Harper 2 home runs. He was the only one who had runs on the day. But it all comes down to that timely hitting. Like, the offense is there. It's just they got to be able to prevail when these guys are on second and third base.
And again, last night is typical. You don't see that until the end. Like, that was the problem. Like, if you just tuned in at the ninth inning, you'd be like, wow, this team this team just can hit when they're on base. I mean, Roger Suarez, the closer for the Padres, he had no blown saves going into the whole season. I think he only let up 2 runs all season long, if I remember.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. And then I tweeted out, is he the new Jonathan Broxton now? Like, to the Phillies, like, he was the same guy that Harper had the bet him at the bank moment with.
Yeah.
They
showed that. They showed that right before he started pitching that inning, and maybe just the juju was out there. I mean, obviously they don't see it in the stadium that happened, or that they were playing at. But hey, I mean, that guy Suarez, he has it in his head of what Bryce Harper can do, and Bryce Harper led off that inning, and then he gave up 4 straight hits, and he gave up the lead. It was a walk-off win for the Phils. I mean, this could be just like, the saying, like, oh, rent-free. Somebody's living rent-free. I mean, that could be the very, example of that when it comes to Suarez and Harper.
And that's what makes baseball such a fun sport in some ways, the weirdness of it. Like we talked about, San Fran. When they play in San Fran, this team is like, looks like they've never played baseball before. I don't care how bad or good the Phillies are, they don't look good in San Fran. There's a certain place, a certain players that just don't do well against each other, and that's what makes baseball crazy. And Adam says here, didn't Casty say I didn't go to college? I'm here to hit baseballs.
Mm-hmm.
And let me ask you a question because it kind of goes off this a little bit. He kind of got an argument with the ump at the I think it was in the Baltimore game. I don't know if it was the game you're at, but it was in one of the Baltimore games. And he was clearly heard saying, I've been in the league for 12 years and, show me some effing respect. Make sure I can.
I'll tell you what, shocking he didn't get kicked out for that because he was like pointing at the guy, or he was going like this. He was like, making the mouth movement. Like I was very surprised he didn't get ejected for that.
Yeah. And I mean, the guy doesn't always back up his abilities. He talks a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, I kind of want my guy not to be like, I'm not hitting. I'm getting in my head. But I feel he's too far the other way. Like, Castellanos, you're batting a 189 right now. It's not the ump speaking up, buddy. Your bat's being awfully quiet. But it looks like we have a lot of comments coming here. Let's shoot through some of these real quick, answer some questions. You need better players. Not winning a championship, platooning Dahl and Whit Merrifield in left field. And honestly, Cody Clemens taking Dahl's spot doesn't make anyone any more comfortable. I mean, Joe, let's break this down for a second. The outfield has been a question now. It's been the topic of conversation. Would you be okay going into postseason with what he's talking about right here? With Dahl, with Whit Merrifield, and Cody Clemens, platooning with Marsh out there, or actually, I guess it would be Cody Clemens and Dahl platooning, Whit Merrifield platooning, Marsh in center field, and Castellanos in right field.
I think that's a deeper question than I can really give an answer to right now, because if you look at it right now, Rojas was sent down, yes, when Trey Turner came back, but a big part of that was because Dahl and Pache can't get moved down. They have no more options, so they have to clear waivers, which none of them would have, and they would have been placed on another team. It just so happened that Rojas should have been sent down regardless because they want him to work on shortening his swing, putting the ball on the ground, being able to bunt. They said they want him to bunt, 5 or 6 times a week. Like, it was kind of just a coincidence that, he was sent down at the time that he was, even though it was, everybody could see it, that Rojas needed to work on some stuff. But the big part of Dahl and Pache being up here is because they have no other moves. They have to keep them up here. And with the trade deadline, I think like 5 or 6 weeks away, the date's escaping me, there's a good chance one of those guys are moved. I mean, you look at David Dahl. I mean, he was killing it in the minors. He came up and he started off very well. But I believe he only drew a walk today. He was like 2 for his last 24. I mean, if you can kind of, flip him for something, maybe that's the route that they go. If they can flip Pache, who is very young, for something, maybe that's the way that they go. We have heard about Lewis Roberts Jr. from the White Sox being a major target, who was a center fielder, and he's under control for till 2028. I mean, if you're looking at it, Rojas could be on the move for a guy like that. So, I mean, I don't think it's a question of, do I feel comfortable with them going into the second part of the season or the playoffs with this outfield that they have right now. I don't think that they have this outfield at that time. They're going to make moves. So am I comfortable with it? No, but that's because I know that that's not what we're going to have. Like, I know that they're going to improve. I know that they're going to probably go out and get another outfield bat. One of my biggest things, and I said this to my dad not 2 hours ago, I said, has Nick Castellanos had a day off yet in right field? Like, I feel like he has played every single game in right field since he has become a Philly. What is so wrong with giving him a day or two off, or maybe even putting him in a DH situation for a game and getting somebody else in right field, giving Schwarber the day off? Like I don't know. It's got to be the contract, but there are going to be things that change within this outfield, and that's just what's going to happen. Like, this is Dave Dombrowski. This is the Phillies who, for a good portion of the season of June, were the best. In May, were the best team in baseball. The Phillies should be all in. Dave Dombrowski has the reputation, the know-how, and the savviness to make these moves and get the Phillies to where they need for the second half of the season and into the playoffs. Am I comfortable? No, but it's because I know that that's not what we're going to have going forward.
Mm-hmm. And Adam saying today they left bases loaded in the first inning. They've done that a lot, honestly, or left 2 or 3 guys in scoring position at least a couple times. And that's been, like we talked about earlier when we first started the show, runners in scoring position is kind of hurting them right now, which has kind of been it hurt them last year too, and it didn't keep them from going too far. It hurt them in 2022. I mean, teams like the Phillies are going to have a higher runner in scoring position, but they got to start minimizing a little bit. It's going to hurt them. And there was plenty of times that they had chances that yesterday's game should have not been as close as it was. There's plenty of chances that they left on there. There's a bunch of other ones coming in. Look at Castellanos' stats year by year, going back last 6 years. He's good year followed by a bad year every season. Last year was a good year. This is a bad year. Again, is that
that's a reach? Saying last year was a good year is a little bit of a reach for Castellanos. He had all right, division series and playoffs. He had a really good season, but then the regular season has been playing out much like this regular season. I mean, he hit better last.
He hit better last year at the beginning of the season, especially. I mean, give Castellanos credit. He probably carried this team a lot of the way. Kept them from being so. Yeah, I see what Kevin's saying here. He was much better overall if you compare the first 3 months of last year to the first 3 months of this year. So yes, his stats do speak like that. He has very up and down seasons. I mean, like you said, the entire seasons are streaky. The point is, it's minimizing the streakiness. Like maybe we can get can't really hope for this, but he goes on a streak for a while, then he cools off for a while. That means he'll streak back up end of September, early October, hopefully. But the problem is if he gets in one of these funks, is Rob Thompson going to be able to say, all right, you're not playing right field? Because they haven't been able to say it now, and it's freaking June. Like, that's where I worry. I need them to say, listen, Nick, we love you, but you're over the last 25, and it's the NLCS. You're sitting down. Sorry, bud, you're taking a day off. That's really where I worry about a little bit. Let's see Marshawn pop in here. Look at my guys using terms like rent-free. Adam, rest in peace, Willie Mays. Absolutely. It's crazy.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Willie Mays, and then Nick Castellanos hits a walk-off. Yeah. I mean, Nick Castellanos seems to shine right after some of these tragedies are announced. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, one of the major ones. They got to swing big. They got to swing big. Can't settle for a light bat contributor like Jake McCarthy. I know he's on the IL right now, but it's only the 10 days, so hopefully it's nothing big. But I'm looking at Kyle Tucker from the Astros. He's been a name that's been popping up a lot. He's young. He's been in the big moments. He could, if you guys like Bohm get cold or like that, you can shift him up and bat him behind Bryce Harper, things like that.
Let me ask, not to cut you off, but out of the Phillies prospects right now, who would you, Al Severi, say is untouchable in a trade?
Not many, Joe. I'll be honest with you. I'm just trying to think. It depends on the trade. So that's my point. Is I'm not giving somebody up for a good prospect up for a bag of balls. But if it's for a big time player that can be a big difference maker, I feel like almost everybody. There's an option for almost anybody. I'm not saying sell the farm for one player, but I don't feel anybody's untouchable because again, we've had this prospect conversation many of times. Like prospects are prospects for a reason. What's his name? Mick Abel.
Yeah,
he's not untouchable. I feel like the Mick Abel experiment to me is he's almost shown us he's a AAA guy. I don't know if he'll ever make it to the bigs. Andrew Painter. If somebody wanted him, I mean, he could be a big time pitcher. Don't get me wrong, but he's already having Tommy John surgery. He hasn't had an ounce of time in the MLB, so he's going to have this whole season. He's not going to be able to be there. So we might see him April, May, probably more May, June next year, even later with Tommy John surgery. So he's not untouchable. I go back to the Don Brown situation. I mean, me and you were talking about that. We're sitting right next to each other at many of Phillies games when Don Brown was here and he started hitting. Everybody, all right, here it is, Don Brown. Because he hit for 6 weeks. I'm like, sell him now. It's right into the All-Star break. It's going into there. Sell him while he's hot. I just had a feeling about that guy. And I'm not going to always be right, but they're prospects for a reason. And listen, there is going to be times when you have that mentality that it's going to bite you in the ass. And it's going to happen. But I don't want to sell the farm. It's got to be the right scenario, the right chain. And like you said, Joe, earlier, the good part about having a guy like Cody Clemens hitting well, Dahl was hitting well for a while. They're sellable assets. Like, I mean, you don't want to deplete your bench either, but if the right player is involved and somebody says, we like what Mundo Sosa's doing, and he's a big time player,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to think about it. Like it's really good that even though before he went down, like I said, Cody Clemens was hitting really well. Mundo Sosa, that people are talking about, he could be an everyday player on other teams. I don't know about that. I don't know if Mundo Sosa played for the rest of the season at shortstop, if he wouldn't get figured out or cool off. And I mean, thank you. With Trey going down and the way Trey was hitting, we all kind of had that big gulp for a second going, are they going to be able to keep this up? Are they going to be able to keep going with this without the guy he was kind of, leading the team in hits and MLB and all that stuff? But he stepped up, and it was almost without it didn't feel like anything changed. So, but is that going to be something, like, is he going to be a now guy versus an overall future guy? So it really does, to answer that question, long way around going saying it, it depends on the conversation of the package deal. Like, what are we getting? Are we getting a bona fide superstar? Are we getting him for a half a year? Is it just for this year for a rental piece so we can have him to win the World Series and maybe sign him next year? Or is this going to be another guy we got to sign for 12 years? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I actually could not agree with you more. I heard a line earlier, and it was like the light bulb on top of my head, and I was like, oh, wow, that's spot on. And somebody said that prospects are currency. They're currency to go out and get the big piece that you may need to make sure your team is in line to do successful things. And I was like, absolutely right. And I think Andrew Painter is just for whatever reason, they seem like this guy's untouchable. They completely botched him last season. He was out in his first outing. I think it was the first inning he pitched in spring training, and then he got the elbow thing, and then they kept prolonging the surgery, and then bam, they decided they're going to do the surgery, and it was like mid-season, and now you know that he's out, not coming back till at least 2025. And yeah, to your point, April, May, we might not even see him until 2025. And when it comes to him, yes, is he a possible superstar? Sure. But you know who else was possible? Spencer Howard. You know who else was possible? Sixto Sanchez. And what did they do? They moved on to these guys for pieces that helped them in a win-now situation. If it takes an Andrew Painter to move on, especially when we're not even going to see him until 2025, you make the move. Is it Adam Miller, who is swinging a hot bat in single A? He is a possible future shortstop. But hey, guess what? Trey Turner's here for the next 10 years. If Miller's ready to come up in 3 or 4, what are you going to do then? So, I mean, if you're going to be using these pieces to get the guys in here to win now, it's an absolute no-brainer. You trade the McGable, the Painter, the Miller. I don't care who it is. If you're, to your point, it depends on the deal, 100%. But if it's going to be for that just blockbuster deal, I guess, if you want to say, then you do it. You don't even think twice about it. You pull the trigger, and you make sure you put yourself in a position to win a title now.
Kevinson, I think Dahl and Pache are a dime a dozen. They have no trade value. Every team has a fringe outfielder. I agree with you, Kev, to a point. I think they're better than fringe, but they're not everyday players. So if you're a team who's looking to rebuild, there are good pieces to have. They're cheap. You have a guy with experience at David Dahl, Pache, that has the possibility of being a better player, in the right situation, maybe if he got an everyday chance. So I'm not going to sit there and tell you that you can take Dahl and Pache and go get yourself a superstar. I'm just saying they might be cherry on top, a small piece of the puzzle that brings a big superstar in. What are your thoughts on that, Joe?
It's really tough right now because you see the way the team's playing. So I don't know. What are you thinking?
What do you mean on the same question I just asked you on Dahl Pache? I mean,
I'm sorry. Do I think that they're fringe outfielders and every team has a guy like that? I do. Will they get back to a blockbuster piece? Probably not.
No,
But
accent pieces to a trade possibly.
yeah, and it really depends on the position you're really going out for, because the bullpen could use another piece. And Mundo Sosa, I would never trade him because you have no idea. He's a versatile player. He could play basically the entire infield outside of first base, pitcher and catcher, of course. I know that they said that they want to look at him to be in the outfield as well. So, I mean, that's another possibility when you're asking, am I comfortable with the outfield? I mean, Sosa can go out there and play for whatever reason they're trying to test him out. I don't know. I guess that's just to keep him in the lineup. Pache thing, I honestly think that he could be moved. He's very young. They got him as a steal in the beginning of the last season. I think Dull has more major league experience. He was with the Rockies. He was with the main club. He was then put into the minors. He signed here on a minor league deal. He was. And when he came up to the league now, he looked like he was that all-star again, at least for the first, handful of games. It's when you're asking me, am I comfortable with the outfield? To go back to your other question, like Nick Castellanos, Marsh, Pache, Rojas when he was here, Dahl. I mean, and except for Castellanos, they're all kind of interchangeable when it comes to right and center field. I'm sorry, left and center field. So, I mean, you could almost say that the entire outfield we have is fringe, and everybody has players like that.
Yeah, Dives checking in here says if the Phillies sweep the world, if the Phillies in the World Series this year but fail to sweep the series against San Diego, is the season still a success? Get a grip, people. Yeah, I mean, people
they won 5-1 on the season so far. The season long, and I mean they're not playing them more. 6 more. Or I'm sorry, 6 games, 5-1.
Yeah, like it's baseball again, and I get it, Dives. Real quick, guys, I remind you that this show is brought to you by PhillySportsTrips.com. Guys, always tell you, don't wait too long. Jump on those opportunities with Philly Sports Trips. Pittsburgh series is coming up. The other ones are sold out. Have either passed. It's too late to go to Chicago with them, but Pittsburgh is available. They have Miami trip for coming up in September for the Union Soccer. They have a lot of things coming up. Of course, all the Eagles away trips, including the Brazil trip. It's going to be amazing. Check it out. Go to PhillySportsTrips.com. Sign up right away. And guys, sometimes things happen in life, and workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law. These are all things that can alter your life in big ways, and you need the man with the plan, an all-star caliber lawyer, David R. Cherry, and that's him. CherryInjuryLaw.com, 610-565-0300. Again, 610-565-0300, or go to CherryInjuryLaw.com for all your workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, and criminal law needs.
And I want to say this, just to piggyback off the Philly sports trips with the sold out trips. Even if the trips are sold out, they of course have the tailgates. If you're going to be at the game anyway, you could always reach out and jump on their tailgates, which is just top-notch food, the beer. There's usually a player or two that comes along. Philly sports guys there. Vince Rizzuto, president of Philly Sports Trips. I contacted him when I was in Baltimore this past weekend. He said, "Joey, get on over here. We got you covered." Just top-notch company, and yeah, they got everything you need. Even if you're there, the game or the trip sold out, go over for the tailgate.
Yeah, absolutely. Check them out. Great people to work with. Cassie swings more than a 1920s dance. Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing I've seen from him. They definitely either talked to him or worked on it. Like his plate discipline, especially just again over a week, it's a small sample size, has been a lot better. Let's see. Shouldn't be freaking out about winning any series. Some fans are spoiled by how good this team has been, and understand that sweeping any team is really difficult. I agree with Elephant in the room on this one. We were so hot in sweeping teams left and right. We kind of got a little jaded, I guess, for lack of better words, about what can happen. So, we got to take it one step at a time. And this team could still go 500 for the rest of the season and do really and win the series and be number one in the NL and be number one in the NL East. So we got to pump our brakes a little bit on that situation.
They have lost a total of 6 series all season.
Yeah,
all season. The panic button absolutely should not be ringing at this moment.
Castellanos was an all-star in 2023. Absolutely. A lot easier to hit in Cincy.
First half of the season.
Yeah. Well, yeah. A lot. He's a hitting Cincy. Yeah, but you got to take all that into consideration. The man has the power when he does. Castellanos had 29 home runs in 2023 with a 272. Phillies lead is shrinking in the division and making me nervous, says Jose Perez. Is it really shrinking that much?
I checked it earlier. Is at 8.5.
Is it 8? Did they play today, Braves?
Yes, and the last I heard, they were up 4-0. I don't know what inning it was, but I can only assume that they went on to win. So yeah, okay. There was a 1-game swing. They're at what, 8 now? They're 7.5, 8.
7 games behind.
Okay.
Yeah, we're 49-25, and they're 41-31. So, yeah, I mean, listen, is it shrinking a tiny bit? But I mean, if you think about it, in the scheme of things, and we just talked about this, they struggled in Colorado, they struggled in San Fran. They struggled in Boston. They struggled in Baltimore. Split the series in London, and then came home to San Diego. And they've only lost a game and a half in the standings. So that's I don't think I'm worried about that right now. Jose.
Yeah, like it's shrinking. It's shrinking from what, 8.5 or 9, and now it's at 7. Like, come on.
Elephant in the room says Miller and Painter are his untouchables.
I mean, and I get it. I really do. And I guess that would be the consensus answer. But again, like Painter, when are we going to see this guy? Because it's not going to be this year. We don't even know if it's going to be next year. There could be setbacks. And Miller, I mean, he's in single A right now. So you're looking at least another 3 years, possibly 4. And then what? And then you're going to try and move Trey to the outfield? I mean, it's just unrealistic.
The hype on Aiden Miller is getting wild right now. I don't know who the guy said that is the best Phillies prospect since Mike Schmidt.
I heard.
Right, guys,
somebody in the organization said it, so now everybody's running with it.
Yeah, let's go up. What would it take to get Kyle Tucker here? I mean, Houston's struggling right now. They might have to go in rebuild mode. I mean, you got an aging Verlander on the team. I don't know if it's going to cost. It's going to cost a prospect. They're going to want somebody who has ability to come up and play sooner rather than later, but maybe only in a few years. They're going to be in rebuild mode. I mean, Houston Astros have had a lot of success lately, but they're on the downward trend. So they're going to probably try to get back. So maybe they want Aiden Miller, or maybe they want Andrew Painter, who maybe he won't be ready for another year. Maybe they could give him 2 years off and then bring him up and replace some of their aging pitchers. So it really does depend. I don't think it's going to cost an arm and a leg. He's 20.
But you have to understand, to get a piece that you want like that, you have to overpay.
Well, so it's going to be this supply and demand on top of it. Like, if you got guys like the Yankees looking at them, I think the Phillies fit Tucker a little bit because the teams that will really be making moves in the offseason coming up is going to be the Yankees. It's going to be Baltimore. It's going to be maybe Boston if they continue the trend in the right direction. And a lot like the Dodgers maybe, but I doubt it. But so would you want to keep him in the AL or ship him to the NL? I mean, that also plays a factor.
Well, that's very true.
You're still – listen, no matter what we get, we're going to be overpaying for it because they have the supply, we have the demand.
Right.
And we're going to be in an arms race, and we're all like listen, I said it, and I think the Phillies are in it too. They're good, they're in it to win it this year. It's not like, all right, guys, let's get to the World Series and see what happens type situation. They want that parade down Broad Street this year more than anybody. So
after what happened last season with the NLCS, going to Game 7, after you were, up 3 games, only needed that one last game to get to the World Series for the second consecutive season. They've all said it. That one hurt. And you know what? I mean, I'm sure it hurts John Middleton just as much as the players. I'm sure it hurts Dave Dombrowski just as much as the players. These guys are all in. They're not going to just sit back on their laurels and say, oh, no, Andrew Painter, he's untouchable. No, Miller, the Abel, McGriff. Like, no, these guys are going. Pache might be going. Rojas might be going. Like, and this is the needed stuff that they need to do to get over that hump, to get that trophy back. And I'm here for every damn second of it. I don't care what they need to do. I want that parade. I don't care. Trade them all.
And here's the thing is he's making Kyle Tucker is making 12 mil this year. He's ARB 3 next year. Then he's a UFA the following year. So you're only about a year and a half rental with him. So, but he's 27. So that gives you a little time to make a decision on him with the arbitration. You're not going to pay arm and a leg. So there is a little bit of a plus minus with that right there. for when it comes to the negotiation thing. So he wouldn't just be a 1 year or a half a season rental. Kevin's saying there's only two elephant. There's only two elephant. The Phillies would trade in the right package. I guess. Keep an eye on George Klassen. Throws heat and is dominating right now. Absolutely. Would you guys run with Stubbs and Marchand until JT comes back or get someone else? At this point, you have to remember, kind of the good point about it is the All-Star break's going to cut into it. So that kind of cuts down the time. His timetable is staying with the 30 days right now. I still worry maybe an extra week, or maybe even they work something out, make him DH for a first game or two back, just because of his position. That's really what makes it different. If he was playing any other position in the company here, he probably wouldn't be worried about it. But he's already running. He was off the crutches in less than 2 days. I saw him when I was down at the game on Tuesday. He was hugging everybody. He was happy to see everybody. He was slapping the media high five. You could see he's already kind of jazzed to get back into it. I talked to an orthopedic surgeon today. He said, listen, they just had to make 2 portal holes. It was a cleanup. So, they said, think of it like an ingrown toenail. They clip it out, clean up stuff around it. So that means the pain's pretty much gone probably right away. He's just, kind of revving up. So he's staying on that 30-day timetable. They're doing okay. They're holding themselves above. I was expecting a little, shakiness, especially with Marchand, having not working with his guys that much. But I think they don't need to go out just to get somebody because Stubbs and Marchand are going to be, dealing with this from now until, another 25, 30 days.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance that they go out and get anybody. The only real concern is what happens if something happens to one of those two, Stubbs or Marchand. I think Stubbs should be worried about when JT comes back. Marchand is the better catcher. And I especially think that after this season, Marchand will be the long-term backup to JT. Stubbs will have to find another job somewhere else. But I really do think Marchand is the better everyday player. I know Topper has kind of said like they're going to do like almost every other game or 2 on, 2 on, 2 off, however they want it to play out. Stubbs, in my eyes right now, he's the number 3 catcher on this team. I don't think that they can send him back to the minors because really what's the point of that? I guess Marchand could go back down just so he has consistent playing time, but he obviously is, he's superior to behind the plate than Garrett Stubbs. I think Marchand could possibly be the backup when JT comes back. Stubbs should be looking out.
Yeah, he's playing real well. He's having some timely hitting. We saw he went 4 for 4 that night. 2 RBIs, clutch hitting. It comes in play.
Got a homer.
Yeah, the team is seeming. You actually kind of see from Stubbs kind of play with a little bit more chip on his shoulders with Marchand playing, because I guess it's kind of like saying what you're saying, Joe. It's kind of opening up some people's eyes.
And don't get me wrong, Stubbs can stay. You need him for the party at the end in the playoff, and when it comes to beating the, whoever in the series, you got to have this guy for the party and to be the DJ. Like he's staying on the main roster.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Who's going to wear the beer box on their head? Seriously.
Exactly. Well, outside of you or I.
Yeah, sure. I'll do it. Yeah. Aiden Miller, Mick Abel, and another prospect for Luis Roberts Jr. Yay or nay, Joe?
Say it one more time.
Aiden Miller and Mick Abel and another prospect, a lower tier prospect, I guess, for Luis Roberts Jr.'s yay or nay. This is from Dibes.
I want to say yay. It depends on who the third prospect is. I think that is too much of an overpay. If it was Miller and Abel all day, I would. I think the bigger question is then, because Roberts is under control till 2028, what happens to Rojas? And this is something I don't know. Can Roberts play left field? And eventually, when and if Rojas comes back up and he's in center field, that is a question I don't know. Or I'm sorry, an answer to a question I don't know. I don't know overly enough about Roberts. I just know that he has been heavily projected to the Phillies, and of course you have to overpay. So Miller and Abel, I would do it. It would depend on who the third prospect is. But to be honest with you, if it's Rojas in there, I don't know. I maybe would be more likely to do that than throw a third prospect in.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how about if I change this slightly? What about you take Aiden Miller out? You put
Okay.
Johan Rojas in his position, especially if you're talking about a guy who's under contract for 4 more years.
Right.
Mick Abel, and maybe I'm not a lower tier prospect, but another, not Aiden Miller, but just trying to think of somebody else. Or uh, maybe even Pache, somebody like that. You're gonna have to make room on the roster anyway, so getting rid of one of the roster pieces instead of a low tier prospect. Would you do Johan Rojas, Mick Abel, and Pache in this case?
I am driving all their asses to Chicago myself, and I'm bringing back Roberts with me. Yes, I would do that in a heartbeat.
And I think Johan Rojas, this guy's a lot more value to him to people. Like, yes, listen, he has struggled a little bit at the bat, but he's gotten a lot better. The only reason, like you said, Joe, the biggest reason it was an easy cop out for the Phillies. Listen, man, you're the only one we can send down that's not going to lose one of our key
Yeah.
players.
Yep.
And we're going to give you some more playing time and give you more time to work things out. I could see him being the center fielder of the future for a team, maybe not the Phillies, especially if you go get a guy. And I'm a little hesitant on Luis Roberts Jr. because he's having a little bit of a down year. Now, listen,
Understandable.
His team he's on, it's a little harder, a little different. It's situation. It's really hard. Like, do you want to take a guy who's on a down year right now, and then at the same time have to worry about, like, is the change of scenery and coming to a winning organization, is that going to be enough to juice him up versus somebody like a Kyle Tucker or somebody else who is ready to go now? Like, that's the only really reason I'm worried about Luis Roberts Jr. Like, did he have his best season and that's it? And we're just buying him because of what we saw last year versus what we see this year. That's where I really kind of worry about overpaying and bringing him in. There's only 2 guys that have chances to be the next foundations. They do, and then Muffler Mike chimes in here.
When?
But that's what Muffler Mike's saying. Phillies have enough stars signed long term. They can afford to trade prospects for World Series pieces now without totally mortgaging the future, and that is very agreeable, especially on the position. If you go get Luis Roberts Jr. and you have him for 4 years, then guess what? You don't have to worry about Johan Rojas. So you can move on from him and let one of the other guys who still have another 4 or 5 years to come up and work with them. Like you said, Aiden Miller, like, if it's 4 years, I'm okay. I'm waiting on him because things are going to shift around. Mundo Sosa won't be here in 4 years, most likely. Bryson Stott's going to either get paid or have to move on. You can move Trey Turner around.
Bryson Stott is a Philly for life.
I sure hope so, but I'm just saying, because don't forget, you're also going to you're going to be making some big signings coming in the next couple of years. You're going to have to sign Alec Boehm. You're going to have to sign Bryson Stott in the next coming years. So if you sign those guys to big contracts, like big long-term contracts, then you're going to have guys third base locked up for a while. You're going to have second base locked up for a while. And you're going to have shortstop locked up for a while. So, yeah, like, you really got to think about that in the long term about what's going on. And like you said, these guys are kind of pieces. They're currency. And it's important in that situation. Wayne's saying Stubbs to be sent down. I don't know if he can. I don't think he can. I don't think in his contract he can be sent back down. Because that's one thing people don't understand.
I think you can send players down if they agree to it. It's almost like the Whit Merrifield thing. Like, they can't, or injury. But yeah, like a rehab assignment. Like, it's the same thing with the Whit Merrifield thing. Is they can't just send him down because they want to give him some playing time or get him some at bats or whatever it may be. Like, he has to agree to it. Like, these guys are veterans now. They've been in the league for X amount of time. Like, you can't just say, hey, you're going here because we decide that, especially when you're however long Whit Merrifield's been in the league. The whole Stubbs thing is like kind of killing me because I do like the guy, and he signed the minimum. He's only making like $700,000. I do think that he's been a good backup, but the eye test is Marchand is the better catcher.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny. I'm looking up something right here. It looks like this was yesterday. From inside the Phillies. The Phillies actually traded a catcher away in the minors.
They did, yeah.
So that's something to look at there.
Cash considerations.
Yeah, Williams Semonite. I don't know how you say. They said it to the Cubs.
That's actually what I was going to say about Dombrowski is like, you look at these guys who are quote unquote, pieces for the foundation for the future. But when Dombrowski came here, everybody said the Phillies farm system was the lowest of the low. They have nobody worth, a damn in there. And now look, now we're talking about them having the pieces in place to go out and make these blockbuster trades. There have been a lot of trades that have gone on that, number one, we haven't even heard about. It's been either for cash or some young arms to see what they can do in the minors. Like Dombrowski, even though he has puzzled this lineup together to be one of the best in baseball, he's also doing his due diligence and doing what he needs to do with the farm club and the minors. You saw with Pache, I know I said this before, I said it earlier, maybe 10, 15 minutes ago. They got him at a steal from the Athletics at the beginning of last season because he didn't make their main roster. So Dombrowski called up and said, hey, and they made a deal. And kind of the Athletics was like, okay, well, if we can't use him on our main roster, maybe we can use another piece down the road. So they kind of kicked the can down the street. Like Dombrowski does his homework all over the place. He traded Nick Maton and Verling for Soto. Even though Soto didn't work out, he was coming in, and we were very high on that. Like he does everything right. So if he's going to trade a Painter, an Abel, a McGriff, a Miller, I am comfortable with it because I know he is out there looking for the replacements that can be that foundation for the years to come.
Adam's saying, I think Bowman Ranger stay long-term. That's another question. They're going to have to talk about signing Ranger to a long-term deal. So now you have your one, if they sign him to a long-term deal, let's say 5 years, like that's my long-term deal. Then you're going to have him, Nola, and Wheeler locked up for at least the next, 4 years, 5 years. So you got those guys. Christopher Sanchez, I mean, if he continues to pitch like he's been, I think he gets a decent contract. Probably not going to be a blockbuster contract, don't get me wrong. But then you have your 4 guy locked up. Then, you got your odd man out. So then you have Andrew Painter. Does he come up? Can he play well? I mean, you can't have all these big contracts, but I mean, I'm not saying.
What you do is you try and get rid of Walker, and then you re-sign Turnbull to be your 5 until Painter can maybe step in.
Yeah. I mean, that's never happening, but whatever.
Let me ask you. Obviously, Nick is going in 2 years. They're not bringing him back.
Yeah, I don't think
Kyle
so.
Schwarber. Correct?
Oh, yeah. Say it again. You kind of bleeped out for a second. I thought you were cursing. Oh, no. You're muted again.
Who doesn't know that I'm doing the show right now? I am?
Yeah. No, you were for like a moment there.
Oh, I was getting a phone call. I forget where I was at.
You were we're talking about Ranger.
Kyle Schwarber for life, right? He's got to be a Philly the rest of his career, correct?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so. I
really?
don't think I would like. Listen, the heart wants it, but the brain might be like, if he continues to produce, maybe you extend him. I don't know. But how much is it going to cost? Because maybe you do have a prospect that can come up and play left field and hit. Now, this is not Kyle Schwarber hit. It really depends on how he's still producing and what is he looking at for life.
He's only got 1 more year.
But my point is, what is he looking for life? I mean, what's Kyle, 31?
Right around that.
Yeah. Let me see. Kyle Schwarber. And you said next year's his last year, right?
Would you extend them for another 3?
He's 31 right now. He just turned 31 in March, so 3 more, so 4 more years of Kyle Schwarber. So 2028, Kyle Schwarber, or no?
That's kind of where I see his career going anyway. Like, I don't think he's going to be a 40-year-old, power slugger. So I mean, if you can squeeze the juice out of him for an additional 3, and he's putting up 20 to 40 to 50 home runs, I think they're only paying him 15 or 20 per year. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer to me. I love the dude.
I mean, if he continues at that rate, it's still hard for me to say, Joe. I mean, if he falls off, he falls off. I mean, he's a DH, so all he could do is hit now, and he's already doing that now.
but he's batting and he's hitting even better than before. Everyone says, "Oh, he's not a leadoff." Now he's actually hitting like a leadoff, and he's. Go ahead.
I agree with you there, but can he do that in 3 years? That's the question. Will this be going on for 3 or 4 more years? Because you're not just talking like, yes, he's doing it now. How many times have we seen guys get extensions and not be able to repeat what we've seen before? I mean, Nick Castellanos, before he came here, either the year before or the year before that, he was batting 350 or something. Like he had like a stellar year, but he's doing 270 at best. Like we saw last year is 277. I think somebody said earlier.
It's pretty close to a perfect season.
My point is, if he plays like this every year, yeah, let's chat. I'd be talking about that. But it's also, you got to talk about cost, because, again, back to Bohm, Stott, Ranger, you got to pay those guys. $15-20 million might become a lot, and you're going to need a young guy under contract for league minimum, around that $1 million marker, arbitration, all that fun stuff. So it just might not financially work out, especially with a guy who by the time he's done here will be over 32, 33 years old.
That's fair.
And listen,
I'm still saying Philly for life.
The heart wants Schwarber, but the brain's got to say, the brain's got to say, listen, if we got to sign Stott to 5 years or whatever, we got to sign Bohm. I guess it goes Bohm then Stott, right? But it would be like a year between each other.
Yes. Yeah.
So Bohm, so you say you sign Bohm for a 5 year, like, I'm not saying a max contract like some crazy or whatever, but you got to sign him to something. And then you have that money. Then you're going to have Stott, which is going to be about the same, somewhere in that same realm, maybe not like less, but not exactly the same. And then you have Ranger. Those are 3 big contracts, 3 big moves that you got to make a decision on. And then to sign a 33-year-old Kyle Schwarber, it just may not work out that way.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they have the timing of this all kind of worked out, because, I mean, obviously Nick Castellanos comes off the books in about 2 years. Bohm has another year of arbitration. Like, if I were them, I would make Ranger Suarez the priority, next season or next off season. Lock him up with, like you said, the other 2. And then of course you have to go through arbitration again with Alec Bohm. Bohm just got the money that he wanted at $4 million. He'll get a little bit of a raise, even if it goes up to $6 million for the way that he's playing right now. Absolute steal. Stott, you still have some time with him because you have the arbitration years, so you can wait till Nick Castellanos is gone to then worry about Stott. It's kind of weird because you can use the Kyle Schwarber money to re-sign Kyle Schwarber. You know what I mean? Like if they let him go, then they have that additional money. But if they re-sign him, they could just pay him the money that they've already been paying him. You know what I mean?
So to give you an idea, Suarez is $5 million this year. He's ARB 3 next year, and then he's a UFA the following year. So you're absolutely right. They're going to have to probably do it next year. Like, go through all that arbitration, sign him to a 4-year, 5-year deal, because then Alec Bohm is ARB 2, ARB 3, then UFA 2027. So, I mean, all these things play a factor in it, and that's why I don't think he's here. It's just really hard for me to believe Kyle Schwarber at that age, at that price, would be here that much longer, because then I'm looking at Bryce and Stott, and he's a UFA in 2028. So it's almost 1 year right after the other. Rangers 2026, 2027, 2028. So yeah, you got to make a lot of decisions here,
and they're lucky, and they're lucky difficult. That they don't have. They're lucky that they don't have to make these decisions all in the same year. They have the extra year to make sure that they're doing right by their players and their club. There's not a chance that Alec Bohm, Bryson Stott, and Ranger Suarez will not be Phillies in, say, 2027 or 2028. These guys, like, you want to talk about Miller and Abel and Painter being foundations for the future. Well, guess what? So is Stott, Ranger, and Alec. They already have foundations in place who are contributing now that will be that foundation 3-4 years down the road.
Absolutely. And but you have to look at it this way. If you're signing them to a contract, so if I'm Dombrowski, I got a spreadsheet, and I have those years 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30, right? Like, I got those years lined up and go, okay, we could average out that we'll be paying these guys this much per year. Then you got to look at it. All right, well, when they're all at their contract years, that could be $60 million right there.
Sure.
between the three players. I'm not saying they're all going to get 20, but somewhere around that, anywhere from 40 to $60 million between three players. Now, granted, there's going to be changes and all that stuff, and luxury taxes and all that kind of stuff's going to play into it. You're still going to have Trey Turner under contract for his big contract. You're still going to have Harper under his big contract. Wheeler, Nola. So, you need these young players. And again, Nick Castellanos is gone when he's done. And I think Kyle Schwarber, unfortunately, unless he's willing to take a really nice discount to hang out here for a few more years, or maybe they extend him for a year or two, just, while they're in kind of a hold pattern. But I can't, unfortunately, I just can't see that happening. Muffler Mike saying Harper, obviously, Stott, Bohm, and Wheeler are the only guys I see retiring with the franchise. We hope for those guys.
You forget about that connection with Harper and Bryce and Stott. That's big brother, little brother there. With the way that Bryce Harper kind of, throws his weight around, not a chance Bryce and Stott goes anywhere. And why would he? I mean, he's a great player. Taking the Harper thing out of it, he should just be back because he's a really good player.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all about affordability and all that in the long run. But there's Joe, there's not a chance that when you need tickets, you don't go to Sherry'sTickets.com. Not at all. Everybody should go to Sherry'sTickets.com. Forget the other guys. You're gonna literally get bamboozled at checkout. You're gonna get these tickets. Oh, that's great. $50, $100, $200. You're gonna be paying all this extra money just for some service fee. And you can't see me air quoting, but I'm air quoting. Service fees, but great prices, no hidden fees, sports, concerts, theaters, you name it. You got, doesn't matter where you're at. Joe could have got tickets while I was in Baltimore from Sherry'sTickets.com because it does not matter. They cover you. Sherry'sTickets.com, family owned, operating since 1946, and not just great prices, not just no hidden fees, but you save an additional 10% off using that great promo code, Joe.
EoP10.
That's right. EoP10 will save you 10% off at Sherry'sTickets.com. Save money, no hidden fees, 10% off with EoP10. Go there as soon as you're done watching us. Let's hit a couple more of these comments here. I think we had a couple more. Let me see. At least one down here. In the next 3 to 5, how many World Series will the Phillies win? I'm hoping 5.
3 to 5? I'd say 1 and 3, 2 and 5.
I mean, that is one thing that you have to look forward to. Now, you'll have some Asian guys. Bryce Harper starts to get up there. Trey Turner's already in his 30s. But you have a very locked down team with Bohm and Stott. The outfield has some questions once Castellanos done, and what happens with Brandon Marsh if they move on from him after they're done. If they have somebody younger they could bring up and cheaper, because that's the other thing is Brandon Marsh might be the odd man out when it comes time to. I'm going to look at his contract.
What's funny is here we are with World Series and trophy, expectations at this point. Best team in baseball for a stretch of time. Obviously, the best team in the NL, winning the division. And just 4 or 5 months ago, we were saying, I'm sorry, not us. People were saying, what are they doing? They haven't gone out and made a splash. They haven't signed this person. They haven't gotten Montgomery. They haven't gotten Snell. Dombrowski, what's he doing? And now look at it. Can we just have some faith in this team when it comes to because even if they don't go out and make that big trade at the deadline, I mean, they can make other moves, further down. When a team, when the roster gets extended, they have many options at their fingertips right now. So if they don't go out and get a Tucker or a Roberts or a named player here for the bullpen, let's not pull our hair out and know that we can have the faith in Dombrowski to go out and do what's right. Because beginning of the season, everybody was wondering how this team was going to look, and now we know how they're going to look. We're approaching the All-Star game, and they're a game away from number 50. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw the success of this team. Even when Trey Turner goes down, Brandon Marsh goes down, JT is now down. It was next man up, and they still were able to maintain being the best team in baseball. So I know we're having fun with the trade deadline, but let's not worry about it just yet. We're still 5 or 6 weeks away from it. We don't even know if another position of need comes up between now and then. We don't even know if one of these guys that we are talking about right now that we want to get in here for these pieces that we have for these prospects, we don't even know if they're going to be available at that time. Injured, already traded, whatever it may be. So it's fun right now, but let's know what we have in this city right now and give them some damn credit for the way that they've been playing.
Absolutely. Real quick, I was just looking this up while you were chatting. I mean, even like they really did set this up right. Brandon Marsh is making $766,000 right now, right? He's in arbitration. He's not a UFA until 2028, and he'll be 30 years old.
That's amazing. Amazing.
I mean, so Brandon Marsh could be here for a while, and then pending at that point where they're at, maybe if he's still a very serviceable left fielder hitting well, it doesn't have to be a major contract extension. You could have him for 4 more years after that.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I honestly think, of course, Trey got the big one. Bryce got the big one. I mean, Nick got a 5. Schwarber got a 4. I want to say Wheeler got 4 more. And I want to say Aaron extended 4 more. And Aaron Nola got 4, correct?
Nola Nola got 5.
Outside of Harper and Trey, I don't see them just handing out these 8 to 10 to 13-year contracts. I think that they are going to be more realistic when it comes to the 4 and 5 going forward.
I mean, I think you kind of saw that this year outside of the Nola one, of course. They extended him.
Yeah.
Or re-signed him, or however you want to put it. I think you're right, Joe, but I also think you will see a splash made by the deadline. I actually would prefer to see it before the deadline, give the person time to gel with the team, no matter who it is, and also maybe keeps the price from driving up when everybody's kind of pecking at them. But again, if I'm a team who
then Dombrowski should be reaching out to Howie Roseman to see how to do things a little bit early.
Well, that's the question is, does a team even want to do it? If you already know you're selling now, do you I'm going to wait until I'm going to drive this price up. I don't want to give this guy away for nothing. I'm not just going to give it to the Phillies. I'm going to make sure I get money for it. I'm going to bid him against the Yankees, against the Orioles, or the Red Sox, or the Dodgers, the Brewers, those kind of guys. Because that's the one thing we have to understand is right now there's 5. I'm going to say personally, there's 5 elite teams in baseball, maybe 6 if you really want to say that. You got on the AL side, you got the Yankees, you got the Orioles, and you got the Guardians. And then on the NL side, you have the Phillies, the Dodgers, and I'm going to put on as maybe the 6th man or kind of a possible number 6 is the Brewers. Because their division ain't the greatest. Let's just throw it out there. But they're playing decent baseball. But then you kind of have a drop off. But when you get to that drop off, Joe, there's a lot of teams in the wild card position right now. There's only I think there's only 2 teams that are not within 2 games of the wild card position right now, and that's on both sides. I think that's on the AL and the NL. Yeah. So that's something you have to look at. These teams who are going to get in the wild card, they've seen the Phillies. We've kind of given the blueprints. You don't have to be the number 1 team to come in and make a run to it. Look at the Diamondbacks. We're going to be seeing them now on Friday. It's going to be a little first time we see them since the NLCS. You're going to see the it's Apple game, but whatever. Still annoyed by that, but it's the Cole Hamels retirement.
I was just going to bring that up. Yep, I was just going to bring that up.
And they have a lot of people coming in for it. A lot of former players. Charlie Manuel's going to be there. Carlos Ruiz is going to be there. The pitching coach who was there when he was there. What was his name?
Doobie.
Rich Doobie. Rich Doobie's going to be there. How do you forget that
Tom
name?
Flash Gordon.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot of guys there. And, I still don't understand the whole Apple thing, but
I understand it's stupid.
Yeah, right. But
I got a quiz for you when you're done.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was actually gonna bring up the Cole Hamels Friday night ceremony and all like that. Can you name every team Cole Hamels has played for?
Wow, that's a very good question. All right, the Rangers, because he traded from here to there, right?
All right. I guess we won't go in order.
Wait, didn't he didn't he go to the Rangers from here?
Yes, but he started here.
Oh, I thought you meant he did. All right, the Phillies, the Rangers, Atlanta for like 2 days. San Diego. Was that the last team he was with? San Diego. And was there 2 more, right?
Unless I'm wrong, I think only one more.
1 more. Okay.
I think a total of 5,
all right,
including the Phillies.
Trying to remember that one other team. Damn, I'm really blanking out on that last team.
I'll say, and you'll know.
Go ahead.
Actually, I'll give you an option because
right.
there's 2 teams in the city. Chicago.
He was a Cubby.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He was a Cubby.
5 teams.
Yeah.
Like we think of Cole Hamels as only a Philly. We know he got traded to the Rangers. I forgot about the Padres. I knew about the Braves where he was like there for like 2 days, and then I forgot about the Cubs. Like 5 teams. This guy played for 5 teams, 4 after the Phillies. Like I can't believe it.
Oh, that's right. Adam says it's on Roku on Sunday. So one weekend playing the. See,
Wait, what's that even mean? Wait, what's that even mean?
Roku.
It's on Roku. Roku is a platform.
No,
channel?
The app, Roku TV. Yeah.
Wow.
But at least Roku TV is free to sign up for. I
don't even think you have to sell. I think as long as you have a Roku, you have the channel on it, right?
Yeah, but if you I have a Fire, it's like you have a Fire TV or a Fire Stick.
Got it.
You can download the Roku app. So that at least all you have to do is download an app, and I think it's on.
That's so stupid.
I think it's on all devices. So but the Apple, you have to have an Apple device or an Apple account, right? So that's the problem. That really limits you.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Union and the MLS had to deal with that. If you didn't have an Apple device or an account, I mean, I have Apple, but I don't have Apple TV.
You just need Apple TV.
Yeah, but I don't pay for it. So do I get it because I have Apple device, or do I get it?
I don't know. I didn't even know that it had to do with the device or anything. I thought it was just on Apple TV. Like I have
Apple
Roku
TV's like
and
Netflix.
I have Fire Stick. I don't have anything Apple, but I have Apple TV on my Roku.
So Apple TV is like Netflix and Amazon Prime. I think.
Right. Yeah.
Like you said, you don't have an Apple device, but you can still use it. You can still watch it.
Right. I have Apple TV. I do, but I don't own anything Apple.
I mean, this is the one bad part about the whole streaming thing because look, you're gonna have football games on Netflix. Like
I know.
Like what they really should do is they should make it a rule. We will let you use this game. All right, Apple, you get this game. But caveat: if somebody does not have the platform or the subscription, you could charge them a one-time fee of $5 or something, $7. That way, I'd pay $5 to watch a couple games a year. That's fine. Like I fell for it again. I downloaded the ESPN Plus app. I really never use it. I used it for when the Flyers had a half a dozen games on there this year.
Sure.
And I watched it. I'm like, I just saw my thing. I'm like, I just got hit by them again. God damn it. I don't use it. Like, I hate that. It drives me nuts. It's worse than my gym membership.
Yeah. And kind of to piggyback off your idea, like if you're going to have one game on Apple TV, have the entire series on Apple TV and charge a $5 fee for the weekend.
Yeah.
That way, somebody has the entire weekend to maybe look over everything else on Apple TV, and you can gain a subscriber or two here and there. If it's one game, nobody's going to pay for one game. If it's a weekend, it may happen.
Or wise up. Remember back in the day, Joe, like HBO when it was on cable, like you had a cable channel for it.
Sure.
You got a week free, so you could try it out.
Yeah. Yes. Perfect.
At least that way, get the whole weekend, give it away for free, and then let people watch it so they're not missing out, and you get a chance to show off your platform and people go, ooh, I like that show. I'm going to try it. Let me see. I heard this one show is wonderful. I'm going to watch it, and then I don't want to give it up. All right, I'll pay for another month, and then you're hooked. You know how it works.
Right. Oh, my God, yeah. You forget that you pay for it. That's how auto pay screws you now, because you don't get a bill in the mail. You don't have to call up and talk to a representative to pay your bill. Everything is auto pay these days, and you just forget, and you just pay these companies every month in and out and not even realize you're doing it.
And this is the new way they get you. So like you could go on Netflix.com and sign up for it, and then you could download it on your devices, right? Well, now, as an Apple guy, I'm sure Google does the same thing. You could pay through the App Store.
Yeah.
So now Apple, you have like a $50 Apple fee because you have $10 for this, $20 for that, and that's how they get you down. So it's even harder now because you don't have to sit there. Like when you got to put your credit card number in, you're probably like, all right, I'm not going to do it. But now
you got some extra time to back out. Yeah.
Yeah. So Adam says it's on Roku. He asked a question. Adam, I'm just going to say to you and everybody else, I love me Rhys Hoskins, but he's gone. He's not coming back. I don't see him coming back. He's not going to be worth the money.
I don't know.
I just don't see him coming back. I really don't.
I don't know.
Unless like if he's doing well when Kyle Schwarber's out and they can get him for a better deal. I mean, he's a year or two younger than Kyle.
Something like that. I don't see him coming back in a trade. I don't see him kind of coming back next offseason. I think he does come back as a Philly at some point. I think he's still young enough in age, and that they gave him the Brewers gave him a 2-year, but after this year, there's an option that they can get out of it, or I think maybe he can get out of it. I know it's either it is him. Okay, yeah. Maybe the Phillies come back. Who knows? I have not, like, especially after that Brewers series, I kind of like talked myself into it. Like, hey, at some point, Rhys Hoskins could be a Philly again.
Well, he's getting $17 million this year. They have to be willing to pay him more than $25 million next year if you wanted him back next year. Or $12 million. I said 25. 12
Says
million.
Who?
That's what his contract is.
Oh, I got you.
So it's $17 million this year, $12 million next year.
If there was a way to move on from the Castellanos, would you bring back Rhys Hoskins?
Well, where are you going to play him?
You can always move Bryce back to right field.
Can you?
I don't know.
and you want and as soon as you have a defensive liability from Rhys Hoskins, it starts all the over to hell again.
I know. But think of it this way. But think if they are possibly testing Amundo Sosa in left field, and who the hell knows who else? David Dahl is there. Marsh, whenever the right pitcher is pitching. Rhys does have experience in left field. Like if you are already kind of, if left field is already kind of your throwaway position where you're putting a David Dahl or a Pache or somebody else, why not it be Rhys Hoskins and know that you have that possible production when it comes to the offense in your lineup?
I think Bryce has been doing such a good job defensively. He had his first error of the year like last week.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. You just throw him in at left. Like, I'd rather Rhys Hoskins in left than Sosa.
I would rather Rhys Hoskins not at all.
I'd rather Rhys Hoskins in Milwaukee.
Like, I mean, defensively, I'm just saying, like, I love Rhys Hoskins. And I feel like I'm the only guy who's not trying to fit the round peg into the square hole with him. Like, I guess maybe
I'm with you. I'm just I said it.
I know. I said it the year before the last year he got hurt and everything. I said, like, I'm over the Rhys Hoskins experiment.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere for him.
You can't say it's an experiment when he was the longest tenured Philly and he was loyal to this team through all the garbage seasons. Like, it kind of sucks. I understand that. And I know the last 2 seasons, well, I guess not last season, but 2 seasons ago, the World Series trip, finally, the struggle of every season finally got to the peak of where he was in Philadelphia. But it kind of sucks. This team is now the best team in baseball, arguably, and Rhys Hoskins is like on the outside looking in. He has to come in here and play, get the ovation, but lose all 3 games. Like, it kind of sucks. Even though 2 years ago I was the one saying Rhys Hoskins in Philadelphia needs to end. Defensive liability at first base. I'm so still on board with that, but my heart, like, like in the Grinch, like the movie, when like his heart like explodes out of his chest. When I see Rhys Hoskins in Philadelphia playing, I'm like, you know what? Maybe there is a chance for this guy to come back, and I'm probably wrong. But I'm falling on the sword. It is. I'm falling on my sword right now saying this. I absolutely agree. But if it works out, it works out. Throw him in left field.
No, again, just throw him in there.
I know. We're going in circles. I know.
To me, like I said, thank you, Rhys Hoskins, for what you've done. You're a Philly in my heart for life, even if you go and play for 10 other teams like Cole Hamels does after he left here. But at the same time, I can't. I just can't with Rhys Hoskins.
Because Al thinks you suck.
It doesn't fit. And I don't want. The one thing I also want to point out, I don't want to hear all the great he's done for us when he was out here. I mean, the man couldn't learn to play first base in that time here. I mean, let's be honest. And he was a streaky hitter. I'm telling you right now, if Rhys Hoskins did not get hurt last year and played last year, nobody would be asking him to come back.
That's probably true. It probably is.
But all right, Joe. So before we get going, I had a question. I told you I was going to ask you at the end of the show.
Right. But I have one more Phillies-related question I want to ask you, and this kind of ties back to where I was this past weekend. What is your prediction for the World Series this year? Obviously, we know the NL is Phillies. Where are you going with the AL?
That's the tougher call in my eye, because the only other team in the NL is really going to give the fits right now. Maybe Brewers and Dodgers, and teams that we've handled well. The Dodgers, we all know how they kind of fall apart. I'm not assuming. I'm just saying higher likelihood of happening. But I really see a fight, and I think even Mike said it earlier. Don't count out the KC Royals. They've been playing really well. Now, they're a team playing above where they should be talent-wise.
Right.
You got the Orioles and the Yankees who are playing, and Guardians.
People are saying the Yankees are playing above what they really are, too, and they're kind of just waiting for that shoe to drop.
I don't know. You got Garrett Cole. You got Judge. You got Carlos, or whatever was his Gian Stanton. I don't know how you.
Yeah.
It changed his name. So I don't think they're playing way above where they're at. Maybe you feel like they're playing a little higher than they should, but they have a really good talent. I think it goes between the Yankees and the Orioles, to be honest with you. I think the Guardians have a really good team, but I think they are beatable in a sense. If the Orioles can keep it up, I wouldn't be surprised if we see what we saw last weekend. But I'd probably lean more towards the Yankees right now, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But we'll see what happens. If Seattle learns how to hit, they could really be dangerous. Yeah,
I'm biased at this moment.
So could the Mets if they learned how to hit.
Well,
that's my thing. Is that's a big if.
Yeah, it's got to be Phillies Orioles for me. I mean, again, I know I'm being biased because I was just down there. Even though the series didn't even go our way, but I'm just talking about the town in general. I've been to Baltimore before, but never with the experience like this. I mean, it was Phillies fans everywhere. We did the aquarium. We saw I went in a submarine. It was really cool. We saw the jet for the Navy jet
Harper,
fighters. And Camden Yards at Orioles Park and Utah Street right there. There's a bar across the street I was at not too long ago called Section 771. The entire atmosphere down there is phenomenal. And if it's Phillies Orioles come World Series, of course I'm going to be at the World Series in Philly. But me and my wife already agreed we're definitely going down to Baltimore for that. I mean, it would be. I mean, Baltimore is so close, right down 95. It's 90 minutes away. Having that. World Series atmosphere. You can go back and forth as you want. You could possibly go to every World Series game if you wanted to between Philadelphia and Baltimore. It's that close. It's just, it would be top-notch atmosphere. Probably, and to be honest with you, two great teams too. The Orioles shocked the hell out of me the way that they've been playing with the Phillies. They got some real talent, real young talent there. And Stanton and Gunnar Henderson. We saw Kimbrel come out, with the whole stupid that, and everybody booed them, even though they won that game. It's just even just for the outside of the Phillies being in Baltimore, just being in Baltimore for a World Series game against the Phillies would be awesome.
Listen, yes. Geographically, it's close. You don't have to go through D.C. to get to those areas because that gets crazy. Don't have to travel to New York. And let's be honest, if it's in New York, everything's going to be 10 times more expensive.
Exactly.
If it's in Baltimore, it's going to be very affordable. As you know, I used to go to Baltimore a lot. Our good friend Tom Conrad lived down there. It is a great place. The Inner Harbor, Canton is an area in Baltimore. There's a ton of great restaurants and bars to go to. Camden Yards is one of my favorite ballparks to go to.
Awesome.
So you're absolutely first place I ever had bacon on a stick. It's amazing. But it would be great for us and it'd definitely give us a lot more home field advantage. If we have that, if the travel was that easy for us as Phillies fans.
No lie, we're walking to the stadium. Our hotel was like right down the street too.
Yep.
We're walking to the stadium, and this gentleman and his wife are walking next to us, and the guy turns to me and he goes, so what happened? Did you guys buy out the whole damn stadium? I was like, I guess so. And he's an Orioles fan. He was like, everywhere I look, I've been on this street, that street. He goes, it's all Phillies fans. Where the hell did all you guys come from? It was really cool.
90 minutes north, pal. Like that's where we came from.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Is the Hard Rock Cafe still in the Inner Harbor? I think so.
Yes, it's right next to Phillips Seafood. I was at Phillips Seafood as well. Yeah. Good eats down there, man.
I'm going to give you a little piece of advice. Phillips is good. It's kind of a little touristy, trappy, but it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. There is a place that's in the Inner Harbor, but it's also the main place is on kind of like on the outside of the city, about like 15 minutes out of the city. It is what the hell's the name? It's like a lady's name. It's like Miss. I have to look it up. It is one of the best because one thing Baltimore's known for is their brunch, right? And
I thought you were gonna say crab.
No,
they brunch.
I'll tell you why. Because no matter what
corner the entire brunch market.
No, but I'm serious. If you go into Baltimore, every bar might not have has normal food or whatever here and there, but like chicken fingers, whatever. Every bar has a brunch every Sunday. It's like a big thing in Baltimore. Seriously, look, check it out. And
okay.
And I'm going to try to see if I can look it up right now. But this place has the best food. It has a Bloody Mary that is a full breakfast.
That's my kind of Bloody Mary. Yeah.
Now there's a smaller place in there you go, Miss Shirley's Cafe. That's what it's called.
Okay.
There's one in Inner Harbor. And then there's one in like right on the outside. It would be more like the Delaware County version of going outside the city to Delaware County here.
Sure.
Suburby-ish area, I guess you would call it. But it's called. They have one in the Inner Harbor. It's called Miss Shirley. So if you go down there, gotta get there early and you gotta get reservations in. It's packed solid. They got I had French toast that was this thick, one piece. And it's like stuffed with like this icing. Oh, dude, it's so good. Everything there is amazing. You gotta check it out. But like that is like what makes Baltimore fun. Now, Baltimore, the city itself, can be a little shaky, but just like Philly can. But like, if you're in the right areas, you can't go through Baltimore in the streets without somebody giving you like a fake story how they got abandoned down there and they need money to get back on the train, or their car broke down and they need a flight.
I ran into a few.
Yeah, a lot of panhandling there, but you're gonna get that in a lot of inner cities. But like if you stay in the Inner Harbor, Canton, there's another place that has the word square in it too. They have just like there's a place I love. I go down there. It's called Mama's. There's two, and they have a Mexican restaurant right next to it, which is owned by the same people. It's called Nacho Mamas. And Joe, I kid you not. There's a drink at that Nacho Mamas called the Hubcap. It is literally like a margarita served in a old school hubcap. It comes with 5 straws. I drink them by myself because I have. I was gonna say
I only need one.
Yeah,
only need one.
No, and I go. That's like my first thing when we used to go visit Tom down there. I said, meet at Mama's because it was right off 95 and it was like right by he could walk there. And I said, I'll just drive you back home when we get done there. Then I ended up leaving my car there because I drank like 3 hubcaps. And I was trashed. But no, it is a really fun city to go to. And like the food there is amazing. The Inner Harbor is amazing. So yeah, if it's in Baltimore, that just works out great for all of us and for PhillySportsTrips.com. I mean, they're going to have a field day.
Funny enough, I was sitting with me and my family in section 72. The guy in front of me was a VJ for 104.5 Philly station. To my left was the Philly captain in the next section. One more section over there was Jamie, the Philly sports guy. So Philly Sports Trips were in the sections right next to me.
Yeah, no, they do an amazing job, and they always get the best seats in the house. So, Joe, my last question to you is, because tomorrow, for those who don't know, if you don't know, you've been living under a rock. EoP has its own morning show, Trending in the AM with Phil Stiefel. Well, it's going to be Trending in the AM with Big Al because Phil is off tomorrow. I'm filling in for him, and I'm going to always have to bring to the morning show a non-sports related question where people can answer and talk about it. Joe, I'm trying to get a couple before we have so I can have some examples for people. So I want to talk about what is Joe's non-essential thing you cannot live without. When I say that, No, we need air to live. We need water and food to live. So those are essentials. I'm talking. I can't live without my mom's meatloaf. It's the best meatloaf in the world. Like, these are the things, whatever it is, I can't live without. Joe, what is that answer for you?
The letter B. If you think about it, all the best things start with the letter B. Baseball, burgers, Brigantine Beach, beer, Black Sabbath. The list goes on. I know I'm cheating a little bit, but
Boobies.
It's the letter B. You know what, Al? You're preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
The letter B, all the greatest things start with that letter.
Vagina. No, I'm sorry. Close enough. No, but yeah. No, okay. Joe, that's actually a great one. That's actually a really good out of the box one. And I expect a lot of those, knowing the guys, everybody that tunes into the morning show.
Clip this out. Use it.
I will use this. I like that. The letter B, Joe. That is right outside the box. But Joe, we might have some fighting words for you in here.
I'm not even going to respond.
Steve, Brigantine blows. I love Brigantine.
I'm not even going to respond.
I love going there just because when we used to go there when we were younger, because it was the only place that was open up 24/7 for drinking.
24/7. Well, plus my family owned a house there.
Well, I mean, we even if I wasn't with you, we went and hung out because it was close, because it's right outside AC, so you didn't have to drive as far. But number two would be, I could drink all night into the morning, so that was always a plus.
100%.
Yeah. So other than that, guys,
you know what? We should probably end this right now because my top is about to blow.
Okay.
Get me off the speed, Al.
Yeah. Joe's the unofficial mayor of Brigantine. I don't know if you guys knew that. But guys, I want to thank you for joining tonight. I will see you guys tomorrow morning on Trending in the AM, starting at 8 a.m. Guys, don't forget the great shows here at EoP. We got you covered from Monday through Sunday. And a special Sunday, I will be out and about after PM in the AM. Philly Press Box Radio is having their 500th episode. That's right. Sunday, June 23rd, starting at 1:30 at the Irish Rover Station House. Joe and I were there last year, or 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago?
It was last year.
Okay, 1033 South Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. Great food, by the way, there. Great drinks, great place, a huge bar. You're going to have two-time Stanley Cup champion Joe Watson, Jim Jackson, Flyers play-by-play, and Lou Nolan, Flyers in arena announcer. They're talking about the Flyers' 50th anniversary of their first Stanley Cup and the future of the Flyers. So come take pictures, hang out with the guys, and get to watch a live broadcast of Philly Press Box Radio. Congrats to Bill and Chet for 500 episodes. God bless you, Joe. Me and you would have to figure out. I don't even know where we're at. I mean, I don't know. We're 500, but we're up there. We're definitely if we did this
That's a good question.
If we did this once a week, we've been doing it for 7 years. Okay,
yeah, about that.
So it's average 50 a year. It's 350 episodes ish right now.
We should just say that and then start from there.
There you go. 351 next week.
Pirates Den does rule.
Okay, Pirates, except for the Pirates Den.
Pirates Den's great.
Great show, guys. Thank you, Adam. And yes, Adam, I will see you guys in the AM. And I said actually I'm gonna go home and get that ready. So when I get up in the morning, we'll be able to rock. I'll be nice and refreshed for you guys. But other than that, I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joe Sheeran.
And we out.